Now, it's been almost 50 years since the Equal Pay Act was established, a law designed to bring fairer and equal pay to both men and women in the workforce here. But still today, most women in Aotearoa have not seen that law become a reality. The gender pay gap hasn't budged in the last 10 years, with women getting paid about 10% lower on average than men. And the pay gap between Pākehā males and Pacific women is almost 3 times that, at 27%. Our Equal Employment Opportunities Commissioner recently presented a petition to Parliament which was signed by thousands of New Zealanders demanding pay transparency to help close these gaps. And the Public Pay Registry, where companies can list reports of their pay gaps, has just been released this morning. It's online, so we're going to talk about that with Campaign Manager Darwin Stewart, who joins us now alongside our EEO Commissioner Saunoamaali'i, Dr. Karanina Sumeo. Awhio mai, morena korua.
Nisa Bolivinaka.
Nisa Bolivinaka, Nisa Yandra. Happy International Women's Day. Welcome to both of you. Great to have you in here. Not great to be talking about this 50 years after the Equal Pay Gap. But let's start with the Public Pay Registry, which is up online. I had a look at it just a few minutes ago, the latest. There are a lot of gaps, actually. There are a lot of companies reporting. What's up with that?
Well, it's a first, the pay gap, so it's a start, and we approached 160 organisations, and we've got about 50 that have reported on gender and a much smaller number on Pacific and Māori pay gaps. But we've got 27 brave companies that have put their reports up there today, and I really want to celebrate the fact that they have done that.
Okay, so it's a start. So far I did count, only 6 companies had reported gender pay gap, Māori pay gap and Pacific pay gap. So a small start to celebrate. But when it comes to the pay gaps, how much of it is actually accounted to experience, level of experience, qualification and your career choice?
Yeah, so only about 20% can be put down to those things.
Wow.
The other 80% is we can't attribute it to anything. So the sense is that is bias and discrimination, and that might be from an individual perspective or more structurally in organisations. So we have some areas of our workforce that is very gendered. Yeah. Like call centres and retail, for instance.
Right. Dr. Sumeo, Pacific women sit at the bottom of all those pay gaps, and only just above them are Pacific men. I know that many of them have been sharing their stories with you in confidence because of your latest campaign. Without breaching any privacy, can you share in a general sense what you've heard?
Yes. Happy International Women's Day again to all of our mamas at home, our elders, wherever you are in the rest home or looking after grandchildren, to our essential workers, and to our daughters. Happy International Women's Day. We're hearing a lot of stories from Pacific workers. I'll give you an example of one of the stories. So we talked about Pacific men who are also at close to the bottom of the chain. He'd been working over 20 years at this role. He was on just over 30 grand, and he decided it was time for him to go. And the company offered him a couple of grand just to try and entice him to stay, but he said, no, it's time for me to go. So they recruited someone new and asked him to train this person, and this new person was saying, I can't believe you're living this fantastic job at this great salary. And he said, what salary are you on? And it turned out to be 30 grand more.
Double what he'd been getting.
Double what this Pacific person has been working, and he had committed 20 years of his life.
This is not an uncommon story.
This is not an uncommon story. So, for me, pay transparency is urgent. The longer we wait, the longer Pacific people and others are losing out on income. If we're talking about women, you pay a woman a salary and that impacts the opportunities for her children. You deprive her of her due salary and you deprive the children, and you deprive the whole community. So this is really, really important. And what frustrates me appears to be a lack of urgency by those in positions of power to act. Yeah. So if that is the case, then we are making a purpose choice to ignore the law, which is equal pay, equal opportunities. So those are violations of fundamental human rights, violations of our local laws. We need to act now because we are we are in paradise compared to the rest of the world. We've just given tens of billions of dollars to businesses that have banked, that money and built up their wealth. Why is it so hard?
Why is it so
to
hard?
ask for equality and equal opportunity?
And can I, because we are celebrating International Women's Day, and I just want to point out, because there's so much that we have as a nation to be proud of in terms of
Absolutely.
the women that excel in our country. We have our third female Prime Minister. We have a record number of female MPs in Parliament. We were the first governing country in the world to grant all women the vote. Our greatest Olympian is a woman. Our greatest Paralympian is a woman. And there's so much more. Can I just say the Black Ferns have won more World Cup rugby titles than the All Blacks have. No disrespect to the All Blacks. But we have so much to be proud of in terms of the success of our women. But 50 years after the equal pay gap, we are still fighting for fair pay. Why is that?
Well, that Equal Pay Act in 1972 only considered gender. So it actually didn't look to ethnicities and to other population groups that suffer discrimination. So it's really no surprise that we've only got 6 that are reporting. We need to change that. And I find it deeply sad that it's 49 years until we're having this conversation to say, actually, it's not working. It's not working. We need something different.
And Dr. Sumeo, you talked about income, what a difference it makes, but also it's not just about money, it's also about time. So how are people affected every day from this?
Yeah, well, absolutely. We know, for some of our people, and when I say people, I mean everybody, we're having to scrape through to work a couple of jobs, a part-time here, a bit of it here, and that deprives you of your time with family. It deprives you of your time to rest, on your mental health. So it has huge implications, but, if I can talk about our disabled workers,
yes.
They are so desperate for a job. We know currently, I think the unemployment rate for our disabled workforce is over 8%, compared to the, just under 4% for the population. They are so desperate for an opportunity. And, when they're offered a job, and they don't know what the salary is, they're so grateful to have the job that they take it. Let's respect people. Let's respect our most vulnerable workers and make sure that job ad has the wage. If it's a high salary, make sure it's not just the wage. What are the other benefits? Make it transparent so that when we are looking at pay, we're looking at the whole package, not justice. But transparency is about respect. It's about respect for all of our people, giving them a chance. You can't bargain when the wage is invisible.
Yeah.
That's not bargaining.
Right. So last month you presented that petition, which was signed by thousands of New Zealanders, to Minister Michael Woods. Is there political appetite to mandate pay gap reporting?
We presented the petition to Minister Woods and Minister Tinetti, and there were also a number of MPs there. On the 27th of August 2019, I came here and talk about pay transparency. And Joan Campbell put that question to the Prime Minister, and she gave her word that they are looking at it. We are now in 2022. We are coming to call on that.
Yes, and we've also heard from government that this is a priority for them. So we're asking them to step up and put something in place. And partly the registry is there to show that actually businesses are starting to do this. This is something that they're embracing. There's a very interesting article on the Harvard Business Review that quoted that there was a 680% increase in CEOs talking about the value of transparency and trust. And I think that's a really strong indicator that things have changed quite considerably. And I think the registry being published today will see more and more companies publishing their numbers.
I just want to quickly, before we go, because you've got this campaign running, if you are inspired to make a change in your workplace, but you don't know where to start, what can you do?
You just start a conversation. That's how most change happens in the world. It's by having a conversation. So ask your manager about what the organisation's pay gap is. What is the pay gap for Pacific women in our organisation? If you're not comfortable doing it on your own, do it in a team meeting. Do it through your union, but start that conversation.
And can I just say, men can be our allies too, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What I say, when I took on the commissioner role, I said to the chief commissioner, I want your assurance that I'm being paid the same as all the other commissioners. And so he gave me that assurance. It's kind of like I'm looking in this room, all the presenters, are you on the same salary? If you're not, why not? So they're just simple questions. It takes a lot of courage to ask it, but unless we ask it, unless we break the silence, you're not going to lift the lid of what is potentially exploitation of our most valuable asset, our people.
Equal Opportunities Employment Commissioner Saunoamaali'i, Dr. Karanina Sumeo, and Darwin Stewart, Campaign Manager for Mind the Gap. Thank you both so much for what you've shared today and for coming on our program. Our privilege to have you. We will be